As a teen, I was really into reading. My favorite genre was romantic comedies, teen books, and classic romance. Most of my favorite books were Pride and Prejudice inspired. Something about the push and pull of Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy held me captivated. I'll be honest, I'm a sucker for a good will they, won't they type plot.
I decided to take control of my life and start a diary.
For me, Bridget was the most fleshed out protagonist I've ever read in modern romance. She had relatable flaws, she was clumsy, her emotions were honest. I relate more to the books and movies as an adult than I did as a kid, mostly because, well, life. Now in my late 20s, I see myself as Bridget, minus the two hotties fighting over me. I mean, she's authentic, and she even gives me hope. Maybe one day I'll find peace and my passion as well. Bridget also represents a frustrating reality for most women: insecurity. The insecure woman / protag is not a new concept. In fact, I could list at least 5 teen rom-coms that have at least some of the insecure woman trope. What made Bridget stand out was her actress, played by Renee Zellweger, who is extremely beautiful, but in a down-to-earth kind of way. And that's very refreshing if you compare our beauty standards of the early thousands to the ones that we have now. Attainable beauty in Bridget Jones was something that we all could attain, and it also made her seem more real. It also helped me understand why someone as haughty as Mark Darcy would fall for someone as clumsy as Bridget. She was a real person. She had flaws, and that's what made her beautiful, not to sound corny or sound like a One Direction song. Another thing that made Bridget seem more realistic than most female rom-com characters was her style. Her style was something that almost anyone could replicate, especially if you lived in London. I'm an American, so I can't speak for the British sense of fashion, but I could see myself wearing something that Bridget wore. It was conservative, yet also a little bit risque. Her makeup was very clean, very typical of something the average woman would wear. Most women, when they are going to work now, would wear like just lipstick and mascara, maybe a little bit of lipstick if they felt like it, or foundation. Nothing too bad. She wasn't contouring her face. She wasn't doing weird beauty trends, or maybe she was, but it was in the early 2000 lens. Much more easier and replicatable than what we have now. She also has a body that was realistic, especially for a woman her age. It wouldn't make sense for someone who is in her early to mid 30s being as skinny as an Instagram influencer. It didn't make sense for an office woman. So that's what also made her seem realistic to me and made me just root for her, because she was the average woman. She wasn't a supermodel skinny girl. She related to girls who are just trying to make it. Very briefly, before I move on, is Bridget's pedestrian wants and fantasies. I believe those are absolutely normal. Nothing about living, marriage, and baby happily ever after is a bad thing. Not all of us want to be badass girl bosses who are in charge of everything. Some of us just want the simple, delicate, pedestrian things. A lot of us want to be mothers and wives, and there's nothing wrong with it. And to say that you should want something more is very dishonest and alienating to a lot of women who do not feel that way. That's all I'm going to say. Well, it's good to see women empowered, tough, and untouchable. Sometimes it feels like a breath of fresh air to see someone who is just like the rest of us, a work in progress. And there's nothing wrong with that. Remember to be kind to yourself, and remember that you don't have to have everything in place before you turn 30. Sometimes you need a little bit more time to blossom.
To Bridget, who cannot cook, but who we love, just as she is.